everything in the outer world is a reflection of what's going on in the inner world right now. It's instantaneous creation and manifestation. And what's happening is, speaking of balance, what's going on in the inner world is almost immediately balanced out by what's happening in the outer world, which you can use to your advantage, but also it can catch you by surprise. Aloha and welcome to this episode of Activations with JJ. As you can tell from my greeting, this episode is very much centered on my recent visit to the big island of Hawaii and some grid work that I was able to do there. It was an incredible experience. My little blue dragon and I went to a very special retreat for children and families, starseeds, and I almost have no words to describe how incredible it was. So magical. I've been to Hawaii 3 times in the last year and a half, and actually had never been before in my entire life, believe it or not. And each and every time, so many activations. I know that a lot of you out there have a connection to Lemuria, just like I do. And so these videos, these little clips that I created so that you could feel the energy, are there to help activate remembrance for you of these powerful, powerful frequencies. But before we head into that video footage, I do want to remind you of a couple of upcoming offerings. So just a quick reminder that our virtual and in-person Galactic Historians Conference that I will be live streaming and participating in from Mount Shasta during the 8/8 portal, that is still open for registration. You can click on the links below. It's coming up very, very soon, and I'm really excited to see some of you there. But this Galactic Historians theme came forward in Avebury in the spring. We're continuing it here in Mount Shasta this summer. And then I also will be leaning into it when we go to New Zealand. So if you're in the Southern Hemisphere and you want to participate in a Galactic Historians event, you can join us at Christchurch, New Zealand. It's going to be just as incredible. All right, my friends, without any further ado, let's jump into this beautiful footage and experiences that I had in Hawaii. Greetings and welcome to the big island, Hawaii. I am so grateful to be here with you to share this little piece of energy here just south of Kona. And wow, what an amazing adventure it has been. I've been to Hawaii a handful of times. This island is my 3rd time here. And I had the honor and privilege of connecting with several little starseeds during this one because my incredible friend Julie, who I'll share a little info about later with New Earth Trust Legacy, she is doing a New Earth children's retreat here. But wow, I can't, words cannot describe. I'll share a few of the highlights and some footage with you right now just to give you an idea. And I'll be hopping from a few different locations because I actually don't know if doing it this close to the ocean, you can hear me well. So I'll be switching it up just a little bit, different segments here. But I do want to let you know that it's just such an incredible time that we're living in. And I don't think it was by chance that we gathered here right now on this weekend time period when there's a lot of tumult going on in the world, in other ways and in other places. And so I'd love to start off by just having you feel into the land. I just finished an Instagram Live, and the Instagram Live at the beginning was just literally tuning into this land. So taking a nice deep breath, allowing yourself to feel and hear the waves, the energy. And I'll actually start off by sharing with you about this beach. So as you can see from this footage, I walked into this beach not knowing, this is the first time I've ever come, that the rocks would be this black and white contrast. Not all the beaches in Hawaii are like this. It just so happens this one is particularly this weaving together of the black and white. And so as I stepped into the beach, I immediately felt drawn to share with the Instagram Live audience that I felt it was very representative of unity consciousness. I've been getting a lot of yin and yang, black and white energy coming through. But here's the interesting thing about this place. So you can see the white. The white is the coral, and the black is the volcanic rock. Now, the other thing that I noticed was there's another kind of rock here. And this rock, I actually don't know what causes this phenomena, but you can see by this image, the rock is black and white. So it felt like we were literally tuning into the divine feminine, the divine masculine, and then literally divine union, which is that divine child energy, the actual merging of the two and the balancing. So it feels so balanced here. I want you to just allow yourself to receive an activation of rebalance if that's something that would serve you right now. I'll continue to share a little bit of footage of this location for you. No one else here on this peaceful morning. I was here at sunrise. Just the combination of the earth and the water. And I know that some of you might notice that there's quite a bit of dragon energy here. Yes, during the Instagram Live, we actually did activate a lot of dragon eggs that I could feel some of these were able to hold dragon consciousness. Kariana kia tukushiana karaya. Ushiatari iana karai itukushiana karaya. Beautiful. So transitioning, let's go to our first segment of videos and a little story time from me. I'm going to use this volcanic rock as an entry point. One of my favorite things about the Big Island is all the volcanic rock. It sounds weird, but when you go to the north part of the island, just north of the airport, it's like volcanic lava rock fields. It does not look like Hawaii tropical. It's barren, but there's some really powerful dragon energy there, just powerful energy, period. It's got the Pele energy, and this is from lava flow that happened thousands of years ago, but it's just fields and fields of lava. So you can see here that I ended up going to one of my favorite spots, a cave. I shared on my Instagram a post with this image of me and my two boys. They're both dragons. They're both dragons. And this light peeking through this cave, very activating, reminded me of Abydos, where you have the light bridging into the darkness. So the underworld and the outer world connecting with each other. That's what I was feeling. And this just birthing of dragon consciousness coming out of the darkness, out of this sort of dormant phase and into the light. So I'd like you to just tune into that energy for just a moment. Notice any areas in your life where you're feeling that light shining on some darkness to give you that guidance, to provide for you that anchor point, to merge with the light, to create this bonding of the feminine, the masculine, the dark and the light into unity consciousness. And of course that fits so perfectly with the reconciliation project that we're doing right now. I'm collaborating with my friend Anna from Living from Divine. Fits just, right there with what we're doing. You can't make this up. Everything in the outer world is a reflection of what's going on in the inner world right now. It's instantaneous creation and manifestation. And what's happening is, speaking of balance, what's going on in the inner world is almost immediately balanced out by what's happening in the outer world, which you can use to your advantage, but also it can catch you by surprise. If you are experiencing a well-regulated nervous system and you've attained that, not by force, but just by presence of your awareness, then you're going to feel the situations in your outer world subside and become more in a balanced 0 point energy. However, if there's still a little bit of calibration going on for your nervous system. You might feel a little rocky, speaking of rocks, a little rocky in your outer world. And so just remembering that you are manifesting very rapidly right now. Your field, your energy field, is sending out the signal to your outer holographic reality, and those commands are being sent, and it is almost instantaneous that the things are happening. This, again, as long as it's done with intention, can be very, very powerful, but sometimes a little tricky when we're forgetting that we have that power. We ask for the power, but do we really understand what that power is? So that's kind of the crux of what I want to share with you right now. Now I'd like to go ahead and transition into another segment. I will see you there, and I have another beautiful story to share. Welcome to our next segment, and as you can see, I lost my flower in all of the jostling around, but here we have a beautiful green space. This is the trail on the way to the beach. You can probably hear the bird codes coming through. I always love it when the birds want to come into one of my segments. So go ahead and just close your eyes, take a deep breath, and feel into those subtle energies. So I'd love to share with you another experience that I had here while on the island with these beautiful children. And this involves actually what's called a heiau. A heiau is a sacred site for the Hawaiian people. It is made out of the volcanic rock stones. And the heiaus were places of spiritual significance. And in my opinion, I think just like any sacred site, that they are built on energy nodes. And of course, you know, you have the more recent Hawaiian indigenous history, but it goes back and back and back. And so many of you I know are very connected to Mu and Lemuria. And that is what I tend to feel as I reach far back. And I don't know how many of you were able to watch my Egypt trip recap, but I talked a little bit about how when I was in Egypt, I felt like I wasn't tuning into like Egypt or even Kemet. I was going so far back into the crystalline history vaults that I was accessing a different version of that land than you would typically feel into. I feel the same thing here when I was connecting with the heiau and learning about the history of it. And I'll just pop right here the name of the heiau. You can see specifically, it's just north of Kona a little ways. But this particular heiau has a tumultuous history. It has sort of a very interesting origin story. But what happened was that we arrived to the museum. We're taking a look around, and I noticed that this was actually the last heiau built, I think, on any island. This one's built by King Kamehameha, who is known to be the unifier of all the islands. So there were many prophecies, many seers saw that he would be the one. Now, of course, this did not happen through peace. There was already a lot of violence and fighting among the different clans and the different peoples on the different islands. Both on Hawaii, there was fighting here by different chiefs. And then on the other ones, I think all of them except Kauai, I believe. But either way, it was foreseen that he would unify all of the islands to one, and have like a final unification to end the war, which is a good intention, right? So the story of the heiau is rooted in literally that the god of war. It was dedicated to the god of war, and there was a human sacrifice made to fully activate that particular heiau, to basically bless the warriors that would be going out to the different islands. Now, obviously, for you guys, I know my audience, that sounds sort of, you know, just very like a distortion, which I completely understand. And I was tuning into that too, because I was like, whoa, like when you go somewhere that has that origin story, it can feel very, very dense. But there's more. It just so happens that we arrived at this particular site on the anniversary date of a special allotment of land that was dedicated and given to the national park in order to be able to basically restore the site. And so I was in the museum, I looked at the plaque and I was like, oh my gosh, June 23rd, it was exactly 25 years, a quarter of a century. The site, extra land, was donated by the Queen Emma Foundation, so I could feel that divine feminine energy. Without going into detail about who Queen Emma was, you can read up a little bit more about her in the description below. I'll add some links. I felt this motherly energy kind of wanting to heal this wounding and to bring love. So I was talking with the gentleman who was running the shop and managing the national park site. And I said, you know, and I felt like he was tuned in. Like I'll open conversations up and I'm like, okay, I can feel that this person's ready. And he was mentioning that, yes, it was built and dedicated to the god of war. And I was trying to understand that. And I think he could feel my resistance to it. And I said, well, but what was here before that? Because I know that they would traditionally build the temples, the sacred sites, on sites that were already there. And he said, well, actually, yes, before this, there was a temple of peace. And the temple of war was built around that temple of peace. That really hit me. And what I was feeling was that the children, we were there to reactivate and rededicate this site as a place of peace rather than a place of war. The war had served its purpose for all, you know, for what was there to unify Hawaii, that would stop the fighting, end the fighting, and all the fighting came to a close after that, I think. I'm not an expert on Hawaiian history, but I think for the most part it did. But you can get the general idea and the general frequency of what was going on. And so I tuned in and I felt into it and I reached back to that crystalline history, to that crystalline node that was buried under all of the distortions and the wars and the brother against brother is what was happening. And we go back to this month, this reconciliation project that I'm doing with my friend Anna, and it's brother against brother. You know, it's literally masculine against reconciling masculine with masculine, all of this warring. And this is a reflection of bigger things. This is a reflection of the world, the planet. I mean, it again, it's so obvious that we ended up being there right after quite a large kind of explosion of conflict happened in the Middle East. I mean, you can't make this up. Like, it was there to counterbalance that. And speaking of balance and the rocks in the previous segment, right? Like, it's all about that balance. And so tuning into it, I just could feel the Lemurian mothers, the Lemurian star mothers, the Lemurian earth mothers coming forward and asking the children to help us activate this site. And I want you to just allow yourself through some of these images. I showed a few at the beginning, I'll show a few more now. Just allow yourself to contribute to that reactivation of this place. Now, the rocks that you see, those walls, that is not the original Temple of Peace. And what I was noticing is I felt a very strong connection to the Lemurian temple on the top of Mount Shasta. For some of you who've been there, made out of rocks, but that was built by the Lemurians. And it felt like that temple of love, that temple of peace energy. So as you're tuning in, I want to just invite you, as I'm doing this light language, to assist to amplify the grid work that we did with the children there and the parents, Kina Kiarokoya, where we sing a song. And there's a whole story about the song that I might share another time. But I channeled the song in the Great Pyramid in the King's Chamber. And I don't want to even share the song. I feel like this song needs to be presented to the world in children's voices. So I have something I'm cooking up. But it's a song about peace and love. And it's a song about peace for the world. And you can probably feel the energy of that in your heart right now, as we are amplifying this beautiful temple of peace that is symbolic of the temple of peace built. Our original template was one of peace, not conflict, both within our own blueprint, our own field, and in this planet. This planet was intended to be a place of peace, intended to be a haven in the galaxy. There was already all kinds of war going on in the galaxy. And as I mentioned a few moments ago, actually in our Instagram live, I mentioned it, the earth, Gaia, is in agreement to be a vault for crystalline ascension codes of evolution, peace, tranquility, source codes. And so as we are opening those vaults back up and reclaiming that original role of Gaia, we're restoring her position as this repository, and we are the bridges. I shared that in the Instagram live too. A few weeks ago, we had a Galactic lineage reclamation project. You can now participate in that through an on-demand version. Why it was significant is because what we were doing was stabilizing the circuitry needed through our bodies as bridges of these ascension templates to our galactic families, to our galactic homes. So we are taking now and restoring these records, these crystalline ascension templates, and we are now able to transmit them back to the places they're intended to be in the galaxy, so that not just Gaia can ascend, but so that the entire galaxy can shift in an octave. So just allow that awareness to come into your field. It's a truth being spoken to your bones, to your body. You are encoded with these missions. You do not have to try hard to remember. Release that programming. The veils are only there if you want them to be. And sometimes the veils are there so we can literally operate as a regular human being. Sometimes we cannot be thinking about that 24/7. We wouldn't remember to brush our teeth or give ourselves food or sleep if that's all we had going. So it is a dance. It is, again, to sort of wrap up and end where we began. It's about balance. Balancing our earthy human self with our galactic selves. I was in a light language conference a couple of months ago at the end of May. It was really, really fun. And I can't remember if the playback's available, but I'll put it in the comment section if it is. It was sponsored by the Conscious Awakening Network, that is overseen by Sheila Seppi, one of my, I just admire her so much, an incredible luminary in this space. And I made up this word because it just hit me so hard. I said, we are needing to connect with our humalactic templates. We are human and we are galactic. We are humalactic. So it's important for us to understand what that means. And we are getting better and better at navigating both worlds, because I don't think we can show up and fulfill the commitments that we made to Gaia fully until we allow ourselves to be balanced between this human and this galactic piece. So again, I'm finishing us off where we began with this concept of balance. Even in this temple of peace and this temple of war, you can see it's almost even not just we're going back to peace. It's harmonizing the peace and the war. It's harmonizing, it's reconciling that was there. And it's when you reconcile into a space of 0 point energy and into a space of this crystalline frequency, you're actually transmuting everything, and everything becomes one. And all is harmonized in our bodies. They're telling me it goes back to the body. That everything playing out externally is like encoded in the physical body. It's like code distortions in the physical body. I won't even call it distortions, because sometimes that word comes with a lot of programming. It's like code glitches. So when you're seeing wars and conflict play out, there are code glitches in the physical body that can be re-harmonized in order to bring outer peace. That's interesting. So for those of you who are really in that space and supporting people through quantum embodiment and all of that, especially for the divine masculine, because I feel like this 100% applies, especially to those in male bodies, I would invite you to think a little bit more about what that means. We're all playing our role. We're all doing the things that we're doing because that is our specific, purpose that we're having. So we honor each other in our roles. We're working from within. We're working from without. We're meeting in the middle. And everybody is a key player. Even when you don't think they are, they are. We are creating a field of balance and harmony. And in order to do that, not everybody can be doing the same thing, or the boat would be off kilter. So I think this is a message here at the end that I'm feeling is don't judge other people and what role they're playing. Stay in your lane. Rise to a higher perspective. We all rise together. We all rise together. Rise to a higher perspective. Now, that being said, I just want to send my love to each and every one of you. Thank you for tuning in here to these Hawaii segments, these story time from Hawaii. I can't wait to see you from my next adventure, which will be tuning in from Mount Shasta in August. Wow, wasn't that so powerful? Oh my goodness, just the water, the ocean, the frequencies. I know you could feel it. Mahalo for joining me today to co-create this. I'd like to finish off with just a little message from the Lemurian Star Mothers as we wrap up and integrate all that came through in what you watched today. I can just feel them really helping you connect to the oceans, letting that beautiful frequency run through your body and alleviate any density or stress or strain that you're feeling. Taking some deep breaths. And just placing your hand on your heart as we finish receiving those frequencies from the Star Mothers. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Lemurian Star Mothers. All right, my friends. Oh, I'm just so honored to have you here. I know that you are spending your precious time connecting this video. Just a quick reminder that if you enjoy the content, please feel free to like and subscribe. Click that notification bell. When you do that, it allows this content to be spread to other Lemurian starseeds who are wanting to remember. And as always, I'm sending you so much love and reminding you that I am you.